Have you ever felt a surge of satisfaction as you close your refrigerator door, confident that your groceries are nestled in a haven of freshness, shielded from the ravages of time and spoilage? It's a comforting thought, one that most of us harbor, placing our trust in the cool embrace of our fridges to maintain the quality, flavor, and safety of our daily sustenance. But what if I told you that this seemingly infallible appliance might actually be betraying some of your most cherished food items? What if those crisp vegetables, succulent fruits, and even that golden jar of sweetness are quietly undergoing a transformation within your refrigerator? A change that diminishes their taste, erodes their nutritional value, and in some instances could even render them potentially harmful. In this video, we are going to reveal the surprising truth about 10 common foods that you should absolutely never, ever keep in the refrigerator. We'll delve into the science and the seasoned wisdom behind this crucial aspect of food storage. If you're watching this video, comment great below to let us know you're ready to uncover these kitchen secrets. Stick with us until the very end, because we're not just pointing out mistakes. We'll also equip you with simple, yet profound, storage strategies that could revolutionize your meals, amplify your health, and perhaps even shock you with the extent to which you've unknowingly been compromising your food all along. Let's dive right into the heart of the matter, starting with a staple that graces tables across the nation. 1. Potatoes, the chilling revelation. Let's kick off our list with the unassuming yet universally loved potato. This humble tuber, a cornerstone of countless cuisines, holds a special place in our culinary hearts. Picture the comforting warmth of creamy mashed potatoes on a chilly evening, the satisfying crunch of golden roasted wedges accompanying a hearty meal, the irresistible allure of crispy baked fries fresh from the oven, or the elegant indulgence of a rich potato gratin. Potatoes are more than just food. They're woven into the fabric of our memories, evoking scenes of family gatherings and cozy nights spent indoors. But here's a revelation that might make you rethink your current storage habits. Storing potatoes in the refrigerator is a subtle yet significant error that can silently undermine their delectable qualities. It seems intuitive, doesn't it? Cold equals fresh, right? Unfortunately, in the case of potatoes, this common assumption couldn't be further from the truth. When these earthy treasures are subjected to the frigid environment of your refrigerator, an unexpected biochemical process unfolds beneath their skin. The natural starches, those complex carbohydrates that provide us with sustained energy, begin to convert into sugars at an accelerated pace. While this might initially sound innocuous, this transformation has a dramatic impact on the potato's fundamental character. The texture undergoes an unwelcome shift, becoming gritty and unpleasantly grainy, a far cry from the smooth, fluffy interior we expect. Simultaneously, the flavor profile takes an odd detour, developing an almost cloying sweetness that clashes with the rich, savory essence we crave in a perfectly prepared potato dish. Imagine biting into a golden fry, anticipating that familiar salty crispness, only to be met with a sugary, almost candy-like taste. It's a culinary letdown of epic proportions. Comment earthy goodness if you love the savory taste of potatoes. However, the consequences extend beyond mere disappointment in taste and texture. There's a more significant reason to reconsider this common storage practice, the formation of a chemical compound called acrylamide. When these sugar-laden potatoes are exposed to high cooking temperatures, such as the intense heat of a deep fryer or the scorching environment of an oven, acrylamide forms as a byproduct. This chemical has been the subject of extensive research, with some studies suggesting potential links to certain types of cancer, raising concerns within the scientific community. While an occasional serving of fries isn't likely to pose an immediate threat, and the exact level of risk remains a topic of ongoing debate, it's a compelling reason to consider how even seemingly minor decisions about food storage can have long-term implications for our health. Why take an unnecessary chance when a simple adjustment can mitigate this potential risk? But the story doesn't end there. Potatoes have an aversion to moisture, and refrigerators are notorious for being humid environments. This dampness seeps into the tubers, accelerating spoilage and causing them to become soft, mushy, or even slimy. Sometimes they might even develop an unpleasant odor that no amount of seasoning can mask. So, what's the optimal way to keep your potatoes in prime condition? The key is to store them in a cool, dark, and dry location. Think of a shelf in your pantry, a kitchen covered away from heat sources, or, if you're fortunate enough to have one, a traditional root cellar. Crucially, ensure proper airflow. Ditch those plastic bags that trap humidity and essentially suffocate your potatoes. Opt instead for breathable paper bags, mesh sacks, or even a simple wicker basket that allows them to breathe and stay fresh for longer. One final piece of expert advice: keep your potatoes far away from onions. While it might seem convenient to store all your root vegetables together, onions release a gas called ethylene, which acts as a silent saboteur, encouraging potatoes to sprout prematurely or even rot. It's a small change in your storage strategy that can yield significant benefits. By storing your potatoes correctly, away from the refrigerator and in their ideal conditions, you'll preserve their hearty, wholesome nature, ensuring they deliver that soul-soothing comfort you've come to love with every single bite. 2. Tomatoes, the flavor heist. Next on our list is another kitchen staple, a botanical fruit that often plays the role of a culinary vegetable, the tomato. Whether you're slicing them thinly for a vibrant sandwich, dicing them into a refreshing salad bursting with color, or simmering them into a rich, flavorful sauce, tomatoes bring an unparalleled burst of freshness to our tables. Their juicy, sweet, and slightly tart flavor is a true gift from nature, a testament to the sun's nurturing power. However, here's a common practice that might be robbing your tomatoes of their inherent magic: storing them in the refrigerator. It's a widely held belief that the fridge acts as a universal preserver, extending the life of all our produce. But for tomatoes, this couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, the refrigerator can be likened to a thief in disguise, stealthily stripping away their precious taste and vitality. Comment sun-ripened goodness if you savor the taste of a perfectly ripe tomato. Tomatoes are delicate beings. When you place them in the cold confines of a refrigerator, the low temperatures halt the natural ripening process, the very process responsible for developing their signature sweetness and succulence. Instead of their flavors deepening and maturing, they essentially stall out, becoming dull, mealy, and utterly lackluster. Bite into a tomato that's been chilled, and you'll likely find it feels more like a pale imitation of its former self, soft in all the wrong ways, with a muted taste that leaves you yearning for the sun-ripened goodness you fondly remember. Over time, you might even start to wonder why those store-bought tomatoes never seem to quite measure up to the ones you grow in your garden. Chances are, your refrigerator is the culprit. Beyond the impact on flavor, there's also a nutritional aspect to consider. Tomatoes are packed with lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that has been linked to various health benefits, including promoting heart health and potentially even playing a role in cancer prevention. Cold storage has been shown to reduce the levels of this precious antioxidant in tomatoes, meaning you're not getting the full nutritional benefit with every bite. As we navigate the journey of life, aiming to nourish our bodies wisely, these seemingly small losses can accumulate over time. Why settle for less when a simple adjustment in storage can help you retain both the vibrant flavor and the valuable nutrients? So, how should you store your tomatoes to truly honor their potential? The best place for them is on your countertop at room temperature. Ideally, position them stem side down to minimize moisture loss through the scar where the vine was once attached. If your tomatoes are still a little firm to the touch, give them a few days to ripen naturally. They'll gradually develop their full, luscious glory, transforming into those juicy, flavorful gems you crave. Only when a tomato has reached its peak ripeness and you know you won't be able to consume it immediately should you consider the refrigerator as a last resort. Even then, be sure to let it warm back up to room temperature before serving to coax out some of that lost flavor and texture. When stored correctly, tomatoes remain juicy, rich, and brimming with life, perfect for elevating the simple meals you share with the people who matter most. 3. Onions, the aromatic offender. Now, let's turn our attention to the often underappreciated workhorse of the kitchen, the onion. These pungent bulbs, available in a rainbow of colors and varieties, add depth, aroma, and a savory punch to an astonishing array of dishes, from comforting soups and hearty stews to vibrant stir-fries and flavorful sauces. But if you're in the habit of stashing your onions in the refrigerator, you might be unknowingly setting yourself up for a few rather unpleasant surprises. Comment savory punch if you appreciate the flavor onions bring to your cooking. Onions, much like their potato cousins, don't take kindly to the cold, damp conditions prevalent in most refrigerators. Their reaction to this environment clearly demonstrates that it's a storage mismatch worth avoiding. Onions naturally contain sugars and starches. In the fridge's chilly and humid embrace, these sugars become restless, breaking down at an accelerated rate. The immediate result? Onions lose their firm, crisp bite and instead turn soft, soggy, or even slimy. This is hardly the texture you desire when you're meticulously chopping them for your favorite recipe. The flavor profile also undergoes an undesirable shift, sometimes veering into an overly sweet territory, or even worse, taking on a funky, almost tangy taste as mold begins to creep in. This is a far cry from the sharp, robust flavor that makes onions such an indispensable ingredient in countless culinary traditions. Then there's the undeniable aroma factor. Onions are notorious for their potent scent, and in the enclosed environment of a refrigerator, that smell doesn't stay contained. It permeates everything nearby. Your butter might pick up an unwelcome oniony edge. Your delicate strawberries might take on a strange, savory whiff. And even your milk could develop a suspiciously onion-infused flavor. Imagine pouring yourself a refreshing glass of milk only to discover a hint of onion, or spreading onion-scented butter on your morning toast. Not exactly the most appetizing start to the day. The solution to this aromatic dilemma is surprisingly straightforward. Store whole, uncut onions in a cool, dry, and well-ventilated spot, far away from the refrigerator's clutches. Skip the plastic bags that trap moisture and create an environment ripe for rot. Instead, opt for a breathable basket, a simple paper sack, or a mesh net that allows air to circulate freely around the onions. And here's a golden rule to remember. Always keep onions separate from potatoes. While they might seem like natural storage buddies in the vegetable drawer, potatoes emit gases that can significantly speed up onion spoilage, sparking a silent rivalry that leaves both vegetables in worse condition. If you've already sliced or peeled an onion, the refrigerator does become a viable storage option, but only under specific conditions. You must wrap the cut onion tightly in plastic wrap or seal it in an airtight container to effectively trap that acerbic odor and prevent it from contaminating your other groceries. With proper storage, whole onions will remain fresh and flavorful, ready to elevate your cooking without turning your refrigerator into an olfactory battlefield. 4. Garlic, the sprouting surprise. Finally, for this first part of our video, let's delve into the world of garlic, an ingredient that transcends mere flavor. It's a culinary cornerstone, steeped in tradition and revered for its potent and distinctive character. Whether you're mincing it finely to infuse a delicate pasta sauce, roasting it whole to mellow its sharp bite into a sweet, creamy delight, or rubbing it onto a Sunday roast to impart a deep, savory aroma, garlic brings warmth and soul to countless dishes. But pairing it with the refrigerator is a storage mismatch that can significantly diminish its charm and compromise its vibrant spirit. Comment "fiery kick" if you love the bold taste of garlic. When garlic is subjected to the cold embrace of your refrigerator, it doesn't take long for it to rebel. One of the first signs of this discontent is the appearance of green shoots sprouting from the cloves. These bitter little intruders not only detract from the garlic's appearance, but also twist its bold, earthy taste into something sharp and often quite off-putting. The cold environment of the refrigerator also invites moisture, a nemesis for garlic. This dampness can soften the cloves, encouraging the growth of mold or hastening the overall spoilage process, turning your once proud and firm bulbs into a sad, squishy mess. Worse yet, garlic's porous nature means it readily absorbs surrounding odors. So, instead of its pure, pungent self, your refrigerated garlic might emerge tasting faintly of last week's leftover lasagna or that forgotten container of berries. To keep your garlic at its peak flavor and quality, it needs to breathe. Store whole bulbs in a dry, well-ventilated location. A mesh bag, an open basket, or even a simple clay pot works wonders. Airflow is garlic's greatest ally, helping to keep it firm, fragrant, and ready to use for weeks, even months. Once you break a bulb apart, aim to use the individual cloves within a few days for the freshest and most intense flavor. If you chop or crush garlic ahead of time, a brief stint in the refrigerator is acceptable, but be sure to seal it tightly in an airtight container to lock in its precious essence. A quick word of caution. If you ever preserve garlic in oil, it's crucial to refrigerate it and use it within a week to sidestep the risk of bacterial growth, including the potentially dangerous botulism. Stored correctly, garlic retains its fiery kick and timeless appeal, ready to weave its magic into your culinary creations and the cherished memories they help to create. I believe you're enjoying this video and uncovering some valuable insights into proper food storage. Before we continue our exploration of foods that should never be refrigerated, make sure you subscribe to our channel, give this video a thumbs up if you're finding it helpful, and share it with your friends and family who might also benefit from this knowledge. Comment wonderful below if you're enjoying this video so far. 5. Avocados, the ripening riddle. Oh, the avocado, what a marvel of nature's bounty. With its velvety, buttery flesh, its vibrant green hue hinting at the healthy goodness within, and its treasure trove of heart-healthy monounsaturated fats, it's no wonder this fruit has become a beloved darling of kitchens across the globe. Picture it generously smeared across a slice of crusty toast, whirled into a frothy smoothie with just a touch of sweetness, or delicately sliced to crown a crisp salad drizzled with a touch of golden olive oil. Avocados bring a unique richness and a sense of wholesome indulgence to our tables. It's a modern culinary icon, feeling both luxurious and incredibly nutritious. Comment buttery goodness if you adore the creamy texture of a ripe avocado. But when it comes to keeping avocados at their absolute peak, storage is a delicate dance, a game of precision, and the refrigerator, more often than not, plays the role of a false friend in this scenario. Here's the unvarnished truth. If your avocado is still firm to the touch, resisting any gentle pressure, then tucking it into the fridge is a common rookie mistake. Avocados rely on a natural ripening process, a subtle transformation driven by ethylene gas, a silent messenger that works its magic best at room temperature, perhaps on your kitchen counter, basking in the ambient warmth of your home. Pop an unripe avocado into the cold confines of your refrigerator, and you essentially slam the brakes on this crucial ripening process. What you're left with is a stubborn, rock-hard fruit that stubbornly refuses to soften properly. Take a bite, and you'll likely find it disappointingly tasteless, with a chalky texture that's a far cry from the creamy delight you were anticipating. Worse yet, some avocados that are chilled too soon can develop an unpleasant rubbery consistency, or even blacken inside, trapped in a frustrating limbo where they might appear ripe on the outside, but never truly achieve that perfect, melt-in-your-mouth texture. It's a betrayal of their potential, plain and simple. Now, let's consider a different scenario. Say your avocado has finally reached that perfect stage of ripeness, yielding ever so gently to a light squeeze, signaling its readiness to be enjoyed. Can the refrigerator step in as a hero in this situation? Yes, but only briefly. Stashing a ripe, uncut avocado in the refrigerator can buy you a precious day or two, effectively slowing down the inevitable march toward overripeness. But linger too long, perhaps beyond 48 hours, and the magic starts to fade. The flesh can begin to turn watery or stringy. Those precious healthy fats might start to degrade, and the flavor can shift from that rich, nutty essence to something sour or bland. It's a subtle decline, but one that any true avocado aficionado will surely mourn. And if you've already cut into an avocado, that presents a whole new set of challenges. Once exposed to the air, the creamy green surface begins to oxidize rapidly, leading to browning and softening into an unappetizing mush. To combat this, try brushing the cut side with just a whisper of lemon or lime juice. The natural acidity in these citrus fruits helps to slow down the oxidation process. Then, seal the remaining avocado tightly in an airtight container or wrap it snugly in plastic wrap. This little trick can help keep it fresher and more visually appealing for a little bit longer, preserving that luscious allure. Want a pro tip? Straight from the wisdom of seasoned cooks and thrifty grandmothers. If you're feeling impatient for that unripe avocado to soften, don't reach for gadgets or gimmicks. Nature has a simple solution for you. Tuck the unripe avocado into a brown paper bag alongside an apple or a banana. Both of these fruits are ethylene powerhouses. Fold the bag shut and let the naturally occurring gases work their quiet magic, hastening the ripening process without a hint of artificial interference. In just a day or two, you'll likely have a perfectly ripened avocado ready to shine in your favorite dishes. So, the golden rule when it comes to avocados is this: let unripe avocados ripen naturally on your countertop, and only chill them in the refrigerator when they've reached that perfect stage of ripeness, and even then, just for a fleeting moment. This way, you'll unlock their full potential, a smooth, nutrient-packed treat that's as good for your body as it is for your soul. 6. Bananas, the chilling injury. Bananas, a true gift of simplicity, are like golden crescents of sweetness, soft and yielding, bursting with potassium and natural energy. They've been a beloved staple for generations, a humble fruit that feels just as at home tucked into a child's lunchbox as it does resting on a grandmother's countertop, ripening quietly beside a bowl of oranges. But if you're one of those folks who instinctively reaches for the refrigerator to stash your bananas, hoping to stretch their lifespan, you might be in for a surprising letdown. You see, bananas are creatures of warmth, tropical souls that don't take kindly to the cold embrace of a refrigerator. Comment tropical delight if you enjoy the sweet taste of a ripe banana. Here's what happens when you refrigerate a banana. Almost overnight, their cheerful yellow skins begin to darken, transforming into a mottled brown or even an inkai black. At first glance, you might understandably assume they've gone bad, become overripe and well past their prime. But slice one open and the plot thickens. The flesh inside is often still firm, starchy, and stubbornly unripe. It's a bizarre paradox, a visual deception. The cold essentially stalls the ripening process mid-stride, leaving you with a banana that looks like it's aged prematurely but tastes raw and underwhelming. This isn't simply spoilage, it's what scientists refer to as a chilling injury. The cold temperatures disrupt the banana's cell walls, triggering that deceptive discoloration of the peel. And even if you rescue the banana from the refrigerator and allow it to sit out at room temperature afterward, it often never fully recovers its intended sweetness or that desirable soft texture. It's a disappointment masquerading as a fruit. So, what's the right way to store bananas? The key is to keep them at room temperature, where they can continue to ripen at their own natural pace, gradually transitioning from green to that perfect sunny yellow, often adorned with those telltale brown sugar spots that indicate peak sweetness. For optimal results, consider hanging them on a banana hook, a simple contraption that lifts them off the countertop, minimizing bruises and ensuring even airflow around each curved bunch. No banana hook handy? No worries. Simply set them in a bowl or on a plate. However, if you're hoping to slow down the ripening process, keep them away from ethylene-heavy neighbors like apples or pears, as these fruits release gases that can accelerate ripening. Bananas themselves produce ethylene, so they'll ripen just fine on their own terms. But what if your bananas are teetering on the edge of overripeness, becoming soft, fragrant, and covered in brown sugar spots? Resist the urge to toss them into the refrigerator. Instead, consider freezing them. Peel the skins away, trust me. You won't want to wrestle with frozen peels later. You can slice them into rounds if you like, and then stash them in a freezer bag. These frosty treasures are incredibly versatile, perfect for blending into creamy smoothies, stirring into warm oatmeal for added sweetness, or baking into moist and delicious sweet bread. Here's a clever trick from the old days. Mash those ripe bananas with a fork until smooth. Then, spoon the mashed banana into small containers or ice cube trays and freeze them. You'll have instant, perfectly portioned additions ready for pancakes, muffins, or a quick and healthy snack. The essential takeaway is to allow bananas to live their best life on your counter, breathing, ripening, and sweetening naturally until they're perfectly ready to be savored or thoughtfully saved for later use. 7. Uncut melons, the sweetness stall. There's something inherently refreshing and timeless about melons. Think of a juicy wedge of watermelon on a scorching summer afternoon. Its sweet juice dripping down your chin, a slice of vibrant cantaloupe at breakfast. Its orange flesh glowing with the promise of a delightful start to the day, or even a cool, subtly sweet chunk of honeydew after a satisfying dinner. Refreshing and often understated, melons have graced family tables for generations. Their juicy sweetness, a quiet yet profound celebration of nature's abundant generosity. Comment summer refreshment if you love the taste of a chilled melon. But if you're in the habit of immediately stowing a whole, uncut melon in the refrigerator the moment you bring it home from the grocery store or farmer's market, you might be inadvertently dimming its inherent shine, both in terms of flavor and nutritional value. Here's a little-known secret. Melons don't completely stop ripening once they're plucked from the vine. Left to their own devices at room temperature, they continue to soften and develop their sugars, gradually transforming into that burst of joyful sweetness you crave when you finally take that first bite. However, if you shove a whole melon into the refrigerator too early in this ripening process, you essentially hit the pause button on this beautiful transformation. The cold temperatures halt the sugar-building process, leaving you with a fruit that is often lackluster watery instead of succulent, bland instead of vibrant. Watermelons, in particular, tend to suffer in the chill. Their typically crisp and refreshing bite can turn grainy and mushy as the delicate cell structure collapses under the cold. Cantaloupes and honeydews don't fare much better. Their flesh can become rubbery, and that delicate sweetness fades into something utterly forgettable. And it's not just about the taste. Research has actually shown that melons stored at room temperature tend to boast higher levels of beneficial antioxidants. Think of the beta-carotene abundant in cantaloupe or the vitamin C found across the board in various melon varieties. These powerful compounds act as warriors for your health, helping to combat inflammation, bolster your immune system, and keep your cells feeling youthful and vibrant. By refrigerating a melon prematurely, you're not just robbing it of its optimal flavor. You're also potentially sapping some of its valuable nutritional punch. So, the best approach is to let that whole, uncut melon sit proudly on your kitchen counter, allowing it to continue ripening and developing its full flavor potential. Once you've sliced it open, however, that's when the refrigerator becomes your ally. Wrap the cut pieces tightly in plastic wrap or seal them in an airtight container to effectively fend off exposure to air and potential bacteria. Then, enjoy them within 3 to 4 days for peak freshness and safety. Any longer, and the texture can soften too much, the flavor can dull further, and the risk of spoilage starts to increase. The takeaway message is clear: give your whole melons the freedom to ripen naturally on your counter. Then, when it's time to dig in, chill the slices for that refreshing coolness. That way, every bite will be a juicy, nutrient-rich reward, a true taste of summer, no matter what the season. 8. Bread, the staling saboteur. Bread, in its many forms, is truly the heartbeat of the kitchen, one of humanity's oldest and most fundamental comforts. From the crusty loaf fresh from the oven to the tender slice ready for a sandwich, bread carries the weight of tradition in every bite. Whether it's a warm piece slathered with butter, a hearty sandwich stacked high for a satisfying lunch, or a crisp piece of toast perfectly paired with your morning coffee, bread is a constant companion that nourishes both our bellies and our spirits. Comment, comforting slice, if you appreciate the simple pleasure of good bread. But if you're storing your precious loaf in the refrigerator, thinking you're preserving its freshness, you might be surprised to learn that you're actually hastening its decline rather than preserving its delightful charm. Here's the counterintuitive reality. Refrigeration makes bread go stale significantly faster. It might sound wrong after all. Cold air is often used to preserve so many other things, but bread is different. The primary culprit in this rapid staling process is a phenomenon called retrogradation. This is where the starch molecules within the bread begin to recrystallize as they cool, transforming a soft and pliable slice into something dry, crumbly, and unpleasantly tough. The cold environment of the refrigerator dramatically accelerates this transformation, especially if the bread is already sliced or left exposed to the air, turning yesterday's fresh loaf into a mere shadow of its former glory, often overnight. And it's not just the inside of the bread that suffers. The moisture that's often present in a refrigerator can seep into the crust, leaving it disappointingly soggy and sad, while simultaneously causing the interior to harden. It's truly the worst of both worlds, a texture that's neither satisfyingly crisp nor pleasantly tender, and a flavor that has lost its inherent soul. So, what's the better path to take when it comes to storing your bread? If you know you'll finish your loaf within a few days, the best place for it is at room temperature, stored in a cool, dry spot. A traditional bread box, if you have one, is ideal. Alternatively, simply keeping it in its original paper wrapper or placing it in a loosely sealed paper bag can work well. This setup allows the bread to breathe, preventing it from drying out too quickly while still maintaining its soft texture. Plastic bags can also be used, but they tend to trap moisture, which can soften the crust over time. This might be perfectly fine for sandwich bread, but is less desirable for a rustic artisan loaf, where a crisp crust is part of the appeal. If you find yourself with more bread than you can realistically consume before it starts to go stale, don't reach for the refrigerator. Instead, consider freezing it. Slice the loaf first if it isn't already. Then, wrap the slices tightly in plastic wrap or place them in a freezer bag, ensuring as much air as possible is removed. When a craving for toast or a sandwich strikes, simply pop a frozen slice directly into the toaster or warm it gently in the oven. It will taste almost as good as the day it was baked, with that wonderful bakery fresh aroma wafting through your kitchen once again. Bread has been a fundamental part of our meals and memories for centuries, from the tangy sourdoughs of San Francisco to the crusty baguettes of Paris. With just a little care in how we store it, keeping it at room temperature for short-term storage, and freezing it for longer periods, we can truly honor its legacy, savoring every slice as it was meant to be, soft, flavorful, and full of life. 9. Honey, the crystallization conundrum. Honey, that glorious golden elixir, is so much more than just a simple sweetener. It's a piece of history, a traditional healer's remedy, and a pure taste of the earth's quiet labor. Archaeologists have even unearthed jars of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs, thousands of years old, and still remarkably edible, a testament to its near-eternal nature. It's naturally antibacterial, incredibly soothing, and endlessly versatile, whether drizzled over warm toast, stirred into a comforting cup of tea, or simply enjoyed by the spoonful on a restless night. Comment golden goodness if you appreciate the natural sweetness of honey. But for all its incredible resilience, honey has one simple, yet crucial, request. Please, don't store it in the refrigerator. When honey is exposed to cold temperatures, it undergoes a natural process called crystallization. But this process is significantly accelerated in the frigid environment of a refrigerator. You've likely seen it happen before. Those smooth, silky threads of liquid gold gradually transform into a thick, grainy mass, sometimes hardening into a solid, almost impenetrable block. While crystallized honey is still perfectly safe to eat, spreading it on a biscuit or swirling it into your chamomile tea becomes a considerable chore. The texture shifts from that luxurious liquid to something gritty and less appealing, and those delicate floral notes, perhaps a whisper of lavender or the bright essence of clover, can start to dull. Beyond the practical inconvenience of crystallization, refrigeration also introduces a subtle risk: moisture. If the jar of honey isn't sealed perfectly tight, the cold air inside the refrigerator can lead to tiny droplets of condensation forming within the jar. And while honey's natural preservatives usually do an excellent job of fending off trouble, excess water can potentially tip the delicate balance towards fermentation. It's a relatively rare occurrence, but it's a risk not worth taking when the alternative storage method is so incredibly simple. So, where does honey truly belong? In your cupboard or pantry, at room temperature, in a tightly sealed jar, away from direct heat and sunlight? That's all there is to it. No fuss, no fanfare required. If your honey does happen to crystallize over time, and this is more likely to occur with raw, unfiltered honey, don't despair. Simply set the jar in a bowl of warm water, not boiling hot, lest you inadvertently cook away some of its beneficial properties. Stir gently and watch as it slowly melts back into its beautiful flowing glory. Honey is a precious gift that asks for very little and gives back so much: a wealth of antioxidants, natural enzymes, and a sweetness that is pure and unadulterated. Treat it with the simple respect it deserves, and it will sit patiently on your shelf for years, ready to brighten your mornings and soothe your evenings, a quiet miracle contained within every single drop. 10. Olive oil, the cloudy conclusion. Finally, we arrive at olive oil, truly the soul of the kitchen. This liquid treasure, pressed from the fruit of gnarled, ancient trees, has been cherished in Mediterranean homes for millennia, where food is not just sustenance, but also a sacred ritual. Olive oil is more than just an ingredient. It's a tradition, a thread connecting us to generations past who drizzled it over crusty bread, stirred it into hearty stews, or even used it to soothe chapped skin during the dry winter months. With its smooth, often peppery bite, its beautiful golden green sheen, and its wealth of heart-healthy polyphenols, olive oil is a cornerstone of both flavor and wellness in countless cuisines. Comment liquid gold if you appreciate the rich flavor of good olive oil. But there's one mistake that far too many of us make with this precious liquid: storing it in the refrigerator, often with a well-intentioned thought that the cold will help keep it pristine. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. The logic seems sound: cold temperatures generally help preserve things, right? But with olive oil, especially the good stuff extra virgin, cold-pressed, unrefined refrigeration actually backfires. At low temperatures, olive oil begins to solidify, turning cloudy and thick. Sometimes it can even form waxy white clumps that might look alarmingly like the oil has gone bad. Rest assured, it's not spoiled. It's simply the natural fats within the oil congealing. However, it becomes a significant pain to pour, cook with, or drizzle when it's in this semi-frozen state. While letting it warm back up to room temperature will usually restore its liquid form, repeated chilling and thawing can subtly degrade its delicate flavor, potentially muting that grassy, fruity zing that you paid for and truly appreciate. Worse still, the refrigerator introduces a stealthier foe: condensation. If moisture from the cold air creeps into the bottle, it can mix with the oil. Water and oil, as we know, are uneasy bedfellows, and this introduction of water can actually invite spoilage over time, potentially fostering bacteria or leading to rancidity in a way that proper dry storage never would. Olive oil has three primary sworn enemies: heat, light, and air. While the refrigerator certainly helps to sidestep the issue of heat, it doesn't shield the oil from light, especially every time you open the refrigerator door. And, as we've discussed, it introduces that sneaky moisture issue. So, in the end, refrigerating olive oil is often a net loss, a well-meaning misstep that risks its quality without offering any real reward. Instead, the best way to store your olive oil is in a cool, dark corner of your pantry or in a cupboard, away from the stove's heat and the glare of any windows. Opt for a dark glass bottle or a stainless steel tin, as these materials are ideal for blocking out light's damaging rays. A tight-fitting cap is also essential to keep oxygen at bay, slowing down the oxidation process that can eventually turn the oil rancid. When stored correctly, olive oil can stay fresh and flavorful for months, even up to a year, retaining its wonderful aroma, its beautiful color, and those beneficial antioxidants that make it such a health hero. Here's a nod to the traditional ways. Remember that olive oil isn't just for cooking. It's what you might rub into cracked hands when the cold weather bites, what you pour generously over warm bread when friends gather around your table, and what you whisk into a comforting soup when someone in your family is feeling under the weather. It's care in a bottle, simple, elemental, and incredibly generous. Give your olive oil the respect it has earned, not a chilly exile in the refrigerator, but a rightful place in your kitchen where it can truly shine in every dish and every quiet moment it graces. So there you have it, friends. 10 everyday foods that truly deserve a better home than the inside of your refrigerator. From the humble potato to the luxurious olive oil, each of these items carries within it not just flavor and vital nutrition, but also a touch of tradition, a hint of culture, and the care of those who cultivated and harvested them. And perhaps that's the most profound message we can take away today. Food isn't simply about counting calories or checking expiration dates. It's about the conscious choices we make every single day to nurture our well-being, to find comfort in familiar tastes, and to care for ourselves and our families. It's about slowing down in our often hectic lives, noticing the small details, and treating even the simplest of ingredients, like a loaf of bread or a bulb of garlic, with the same respect we might give to something far more delicate or extravagant. As we journey through life, we start to truly appreciate that it's often the little things that make the biggest difference. The way you choose to store your food, the mindful way you prepare a meal, the nostalgic recollection of a cherished recipe your mother used to make, or even just the comforting aroma of your father's Sunday breakfast. These aren't just mundane habits. They're the rituals that weave the rich tapestry of our lives. And when we approach these rituals with intention and care, they nourish far more than just our physical bodies. They deeply feed our souls. So, the next time you reach to place that vibrant tomato in the crisper drawer or toss that pungent onion into the vegetable bin, pause for just a moment. Ask yourself, is this truly the best place for this? Often, the wisdom we're seeking isn't locked away in a scientific laboratory or a trendy food blog. It's often found in the simple stories of our upbringing, in the time-honored methods our grandparents employed, and in the common-sense practices we might have inadvertently overlooked in our modern, convenience-driven world. Well, my friends, we've brought some of that common sense back into the spotlight today. From creamy avocados that crave warmth to golden honey that chills into an unyielding mass. And from the staling bread to the flavor-losing tomatoes, it's truly astonishing how these seemingly small adjustments in how we store our food can make such a monumental difference in their taste, their nutritional value, and ultimately in our overall well-being. So, tell me, what have you learned on this fascinating journey of food storage secrets? I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a moment right now to drop a comment below this video and share just one key takeaway, one thing you've learned today that you are genuinely planning to put into practice in your own life. Maybe it's finally leaving those sun-kissed tomatoes to ripen on your counter, or perhaps it's finding a cozy, dark corner in your pantry for your beloved potatoes. What's the one storage habit you're ready to transform? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video enlightening, engaging, and packed with valuable information, please do me a huge favor and leave a thumbs up below. Your support truly helps this channel grow and allows us to continue sharing these kinds of insightful lessons with a wider audience. And of course, if you haven't already, now is the perfect time to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're dedicated to helping you grow wiser, one insightful tip at a time. right here in your very own kitchen. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our future videos filled with practical wisdom and culinary revelations. Before you go, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, family, and anyone you think might find this information useful. Let's spread the word and help everyone unlock the full potential of their food. And hey, while you're here, why not explore some of the other captivating and informative videos we have right here on our channel? We've got a treasure trove of content designed to help you live a healthier, happier, and more informed life. Take a look around, you might just discover your next favorite video. Until our next culinary adventure together, take excellent care of your food, your home, and most importantly, yourselves. See you in the next one.